What's going on, everyone? I am back with another theme deck tournament here. This time we're playing the Torrential Cannon Theme Deck featuring Blastoise. If you're not familiar with the deck, then I will leave a link in the description to that video, as I have already reviewed it quite a while ago actually, so I'll leave that down below. And of course, if you are new here, be sure to subscribe, as I do post videos multiple times a week on the Pokemon trading card game. So I thought I'd just have a bit of a chilled one for this week's Theme Deck Tuesday, as I haven't actually played this deck in a little while, and it is one of my favourite theme decks to go ahead and play because it is just so fun. It is pretty consistent overall, and you are able to hit some decent numbers. And if you really do dislike those fire decks, then you can always hit them for weakness as well, which is always a nice bonus. Now, I will also take this time to be discussing the Pokemon TCG live game, which we are going to be getting hopefully in the near future. I mean, if it comes out in the next month or two, that would be ideal. If it's any longer than that, then it's going to be questionable launch in my opinion, but it's going to be interesting to see the launch of that game and really see what they do for the different formats, as we haven't gotten any new theme decks for a long time since Vivid Voltage, I think, or no, Darkness Ablaze was the last time that we got theme decks. Ever since Darkness Ablaze, we have had the League Battle decks, which are similar to theme decks, but they typically include a V Pokemon in them, which is nice because then it's introducing players to those Pokemon V, but the downside is they aren't actually classed as theme decks anymore, so we haven't gotten any of those in the theme deck format. And I think that is going to be an issue going forward into this new Pokemon TCG Live client, because I reckon that they're only going to have two formats available at the launch of the game. I'm pretty sure they're probably only going to have standard and expanded formats. Maybe they add more formats later down the line, but I reckon they're not going to have theme deck formats anytime soon, because we don't have any theme decks at the moment. So it just wouldn't make sense for them to keep a theme deck format going when they're not releasing those products. The only way that they would do it, I think, is if they included the League Battle theme decks as theme decks and actually allowed us to use those despite the fact that they have Pokemon V in them. They are still generally balanced, and overall the Pokemon Vs don't make them particularly strong, and they would actually just be fine against most of these theme decks. So we'll have to see what happens with that, but yeah, not having a theme deck format is very questionable, because then we're not going to be able to have a theme deck Tuesday anymore if that happens. And of course, you'll have to give me suggestions for if you think there's any other fun formats that I could create on a Tuesday for you guys, or another day of the week. Doesn't have to be theme deck Tuesday, it could be anything else, but I do always have the other content that I post on a Friday or Saturday at the weekend, where I typically try and include something that is standard or expanded, just to have a bit of fun with it. Now, we do have this Feebas here that we're looking down, so I kind of like using a Rikukui here. I'm not going to draw us a lot of cards with our Farfetch'd, but honestly, just taking this early prize on my opponent is going to be really good for us. So let's go ahead and Kukui here and take this early knockout on the Feebas. And we do actually pick up the Wartortle, so very, very good pickup of the prizes here. Of course, we are going to be working towards our Blastoise. If you're not familiar with this deck, the Blastoise does have that Torrential Cannon ability, allowing us to accelerate energy off of the top 6 cards of our deck. And my opponent is playing a bit of an older deck here, so it should be alright for us to try and eke out a victory, since they are going to be playing fairly slowly and trying to get their Pokemon set up, but overall they're not going to be having very powerful attacks, which is very good for us to see. But they do have some interesting Pokemon in here for sure. Things like the Ancient Trait Pokemon on this Wish Cache, something that we don't see all that often, because it is a long lost feature of the expanded format, which I really wish they hadn't gotten rid of, because it was a pretty cool mechanic in my opinion. We do get that Wartortle down though on our return, and we did top deck the Blastoise as well, so I don't want to be going ahead and using the Cynthia, because then we're going to lose the Blastoise. Just use the How instead, and we can use our Farfetch to draw an additional 2 cards as well. So now on this next turn we're going to be completely set up and able to evolve into a Blastoise, start swinging with that if we want to, or we can just continue to draw cards and set up some other attackers here. We get the Psyduck, which is awesome because we have the Golduck in our hand as well, and this is where the Torrential Cannon is going to come into play now that we have that Blastoise. Even picking up the second Squirtle, we'd have a bunch of energy in our hand, so not likely that we have many, but looks like we are going to be getting 3 energy, which is excellent. I'm going to stack all of these onto the Psyduck here. Pretty sure my opponent's deck doesn't have a Pokemon Catcher. I know some of the theme decks will have Pokemon Catcher, but I'm just going to go on the assumption that they don't have it, and we'll play out the rest of this turn by drawing 2 cards with our Farfetch'd. We could have gotten a knockout there, but I want to just ensure that we have our Golduck down on this following turn, and we start attacking with that rather than putting our Blastoise at risk. And it looks like we have a pretty good setup overall from that, so we can now Torrential Cannon again, see if we get any energy, just the one, which is fine as I can put that onto the Squirtle. And we can also attach a second energy to the Squirtle, retreat our Farfetch'd, and then use our Cynthia to refresh our hand. Nothing else that's really useful in the hand, so we might as well shuffle it back into the deck, draw a fresh set of 6 cards, and this isn't much better as we do pick up the second War Turtle here, and we can go ahead, use that 90 damage attack, and since my opponent does have water Pokemon here, we are able to deal 90 damage onto one of my opponent's bench Pokemon, which is an awesome part of the attack on the Golduck. Really do love that for mirror match situations just like this. So my opponent trying to build up that Whiscash is going to allow us to go ahead and get that first attack in on it so that we can get an easy knockout. They are going to be retreating though and bringing up the Whiscash, which is going to knock us out, dealing with that 120 damage. They do have 20 HP remaining, so very easy for us to get a knockout. We just have to promote our Farfetch'd and we can get a knockout this way, so we don't have to put anything else at risk. And we do also pick up a nice timer ball here, so we can look for a Blastoise. Getting the double heads isn't too bad. We can get a Pidgeotto as well in the hopes of finding a Pidgey. Use the Torrential Cannon, I suppose, to get a single water energy onto our Blastoise, but mainly just to thin the deck of a card. Not really any point in overextending our energy here, so we'll just go ahead with this and get the knockout on my opponent's Whiscash, and it means that they don't have any good attackers. But yeah, going back to the Pokemon TCG Live, since we are in the swing of things in this match, feeling pretty confident. Here we go, there's the victory. We can discuss Pokemon TCG Live a little bit more. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. I'm pretty excited to see a good crafting system since we're completely losing trading, which, yeah, okay, we're taking trading out of the name of Pokemon Trading Card Game, but the whole point of being able to craft cards and get specific cards that you actually want is going to be really good for making decks, in my opinion. So I very much look forward to that part. And also just the fact that they have hinted at having a ranked ladder as well as a regular ladder, and that is going to be the main thing that people are looking forward to. Just the ability to go up the ranks. I mean, yeah, okay, it's ranked, but go up the ladder and try and make it so that you can be on the top spot. That's really going to open it up for online events, because over the pandemic we've had a lot of events that Pokemon have tried to organise and play through the Pokemon TCG online. Some of them have been more effective than others, but I think having that leaderboard built into the game and linked to your account is going to be crucial in order to have those bigger competitions. In addition to that as well, we do have the fact that they have mentioned that there's going to be a battle pass, but really I don't think that's going to be any different from what we have now with the ladder system, being able to earn free rewards the more that you play the game. That's pretty much something that's already in existence in the current build of the game that we have right now, so Battle Pass system isn't going to be any different from that, not too worried about it, and a lot of us already do put money into the game by purchasing codes, which we can then use to get packs in the game. So if a Battle Pass is going to be a more cost effective way, then certainly I will welcome that as well. essentially, if there's a free and paid version as well, that would also really help out any newcomers. So I think having this new client is going to help out both the new players coming into the game who maybe have only just heard of it, or they're just starting to get back into the game after being out of it for a while, and it's also going to help the existing players. Sure, the whole issue of losing our collections isn't going to be great, but ultimately the fact that we can access any cards that we want by crafting, as well as having all of these new features, is going to benefit everyone in the long term, really. So certainly something that I'm looking forward to. Going to be a new interface to get used to as well, so I'm sure a lot of the deck building and all of that kind of stuff is going to look a lot cleaner, and we're going to have some less bugs, better animations, that sort of thing, to ultimately make for a better game. So I look forward to it. This is dragging out a little, so I'm going to cut ahead to when we get into the next game, and I'll see you guys there. We are back and into round 2 of this tournament against Soaring Storm. Going to be a difficult matchup as it always is, but I'm sure my homeboy Blastoise can take this, as he is definitely the better Pokemon. I don't care what you say, but Blastoise is definitely the better Pokemon over Dragonite. Fight me in the comments section if you need to. Let's go ahead and see what we have starting off in this match. Hopefully we get a Farfetch'd, and we do, as we are going second here, and we even get the Pidgeotto to start us off, which is awesome. Almost tempted to just hold this hand since we do have the guaranteed Pidgeotto. I mean, sure, we could Cynthia, but then we're going to lose our Pidgeotto, and that airmail is just so powerful. We don't want to pass up on it, and it is going to give us the advantage over my opponent and able to draw a lot of cards compared to them. So that is exactly what we're going to go for here. Hopefully we find a Squirtle. That's the only reason I would want to go for the Cynthia. But even better, we find a Pokemon fan club. So that is going to find us our Squirtle, as well as another basic Pokemon. Most likely just 2 Squirtles, but we could also go for another Pidgey or even a Psyduck. It looks like my opponent has got the exact same hand here, as they're also going with the Pokemon fan club to get 2 basic Pokemon out of their deck. Let's see what ones they grab. They certainly have a lot of options. They get the Grimer as well as the Pidgey, so they're looking to get their board set up and draw a bunch of cards here. And they are going to be retreating for free into that Grimer, as well as getting the evolution down, so they're one step closer to getting that Dragonite and being able to accelerate energy on their side of the board, which is exactly what they're going for, just the same as what we're doing. But we have our fan club here, so let's go ahead and use that, get our Squirtle down, as well as, I think we will go for the Psyduck, although it's not going to be doing the most amount of damage on the Golduck, but still that Amnesia is going to be useful. So we'll put those down, and we will also use our Airmail, of course, to draw a card. Not super useful. I think I'd rather just take the Water Energy, although I suppose it could be useful in terms of resetting our opponent's Dragonite. If they want to come up and attack with that, then it could actually be useful in that regard. So sure, we'll go with this, attach onto the Pidgeotto, and we can use our Farfetch'd to draw 2 cards. Seems reasonable to me. We'll pass over to my opponent, and they're most likely just going to be getting their evolutions down, getting their energies on the board, and then also drawing cards as well. They have the Pokemon Communication. That is one card that I wish was in our deck. Certainly help out quite a bit, but that is going to allow them to get the Dragonite into play here, using that ability in order to attach a Water and Lightning Energy onto one of their Pokemon, or onto separate Pokemon if they wish. They are going to be attaching onto the active just to draw a couple of extra cards from that Lily. And they also have the Airmail here, which they can use to draw an additional card as well. We are going to be a little stuck for attackers here. Like I said, we do have that Pidgeot, which we can use to attack if we need to. But ultimately my opponent does have the Tornadus here, just lacking the Thundurus. But right as I say that, they put the Thundurus into play. They are just going to be keeping with the Collect on Grimer though, in order to draw a couple of cards, which is reasonable. We can attach an energy though. First of all, I think we will potentially put it onto the Pidgeotto. Ah man, this is just, it's not great because the Pidgeotto is weak to lightning, so not ideal there. And of course we don't have a lot of other good options at the moment, so I suppose we'll attach onto the Psyduck in the hopes that we get a Golduck here. And I'll go for a Cynthia since my opponent doesn't have more than 6 cards, so we'll just Cynthia away this hand. Looking for some more Pokemon, mostly the Wartortle would be nice. We do get a Nest Ball here, so we can get down another Squirtle. And we'll also Airmail and see what we get. Another Nest Ball, not super helpful. Most likely just going to be getting another Farfetch'd. Not going to be a particularly useful Pokemon for us, but we don't have a lot of other options here, so we will just use our Farfetch'd to draw 2 cards once again, getting us a Water Energy. To also pick up that Golduck though at long last, so that is going to be useful to get some Amnesia attacks off and slow my opponent down a little bit. My opponent going to be using Airmail here, build up their hand as well, and they also go for the How, so they're really stacking up the cards and drawing through their deck quite nicely, as you should expect with these decks. They're going to be looking to just build up the energy on their side of the board so that they can take knockouts back to back to back. Meanwhile, we are going to be struggling to keep up just a little bit. That is the only downside to this Blastoise deck. It is super consistent, but sometimes it is just not quite consistent enough. And in this case, my opponent has been able to get set up before us, which is going to mean that they have the Tornadus ready to go and going to be hitting our active for 80 damage and also spreading 20 onto each of our bench Pokemon. So after a couple of turns, a bunch of our bench Pokemon are going to be knocked out at the same time, which is definitely not ideal. I think we will go in with our Psyduck though, since we do have the Golduck, we can use Amnesia to stop my opponent from using that attack. That's certainly going to be helpful here. We do also have a Professor Kukui we can make use of to boost our damage. Just picking up Water Energy though is not something that I really want to be seeing here. I mean, we get another Golduck, but we have no Psyduck now. And I guess we'll attach an energy onto a Squirtle with the hopes of getting a Blastoise down at some point. We'll go for the Amnesia, 40 damage, and we'll stop my opponent from using their secondary attack here, like I said. Make it so that it's a lot more difficult for them to get knockouts here. But as long as they have enough energy in their hand, they need 3 energy, that will allow them to get an attack off for the knockout on our Golduck. Of course they will have to retreat, but that's quite a reasonable trade-off if they are taking a knockout. That's certainly something that you would take the option of doing, especially with our board state not having a Blastoise available and even only having the 1 Airmail as a factor as well, because we're only able to draw an additional 1 card each turn. But yeah, also for future videos, let me know if you've played around with any of the V-Union cards. They look very fun to play around with, and be good to see how they run in the TCG Live engine, because I'm sure there'll be less bugs compared to the current TCG Online engine. Sure, they run fine, but it does have its problems at times. Things like Execute recently, and there's been plenty of other Pokemon cards with bugs in the past. But yeah, just mainly having fun right now. Not really focused on any one deck in particular, just playing around with a bunch of them, as you've seen recently. But going back to this game, we do have a How, got us into another Pidgey, we can Airmail, and let's see what this gets us, a Wartortle. That's 5 turns too late, we finally get a Wartortle. That's certainly not ideal in the slightest, but we have a switch into a Farfetch'd, which is something I suppose, and with nothing else left to play, we'll just draw 2 cards for our turn. My opponent is going to be able to easily wipe through the rest of our board, and I really don't think there's any way of us making a comeback at this point in the game, because my opponent has their entire board set up. If we knock out the Thundurus, they're going to be able to go in with Tornadus, then they can go in with the Lantern as well, and finish us off with the Dragonite. Very easy way for them to take the remaining 4 prize cards, and they will be taking a prize card this turn as well. So really, they only have 3 prize cards left after this one. They're going back into the Tornadus, so they don't even care about risking the Thunderous. They don't want to chance it. They just want to go in with Tornadus and spread a bunch of damage. They have the Pokemon Fan Club as well, which is going to grab them the second Tornadus. So even if we are able to somehow get a knockout on this current one, they have that backup Tornadus ready to go already. And with nothing else really available to us, I really don't think there's a way of us winning this game. So I guess we'll promote the Squirtle for now. See what we top deck here, just another water energy. Let's use a How. We'll draw a couple cards, we get a Blastoise, which is certainly something. Let's use the ability, we get nothing. We get nothing off of the Squall. That is terrible. I guess we'll evolve into the Pidgeot. Yes, I realise I just didn't use Airmail there, but it's fine because we're going to be losing this game anyway. So we'll just retreat and hit my opponent for a massive 60 damage. Prevents them from attacking because they have to switch out their Pokemon here, but of course they can easily retreat and attack us again with the Tornadus if they want to. Also prevents them from knocking out our Pidgeotto though, since we do increase our HP up to 130 rather than the measly 60 here on the Pidgeotto. But of course my opponent does have a bunch of damage building up on our bench Pokemon, softening up our entire board, and with just 3 prize cards remaining versus our 6, there is no way that we're going to be able to win this game. So real shame that my favourite deck is just not quite where it should be. I really wish it was a little bit faster, or maybe had some good basic Pokemon it could attack with, but really there is no way that this deck was going to win a tournament, especially when you come up against the Soaring Storm deck, which is just far superior compared to this one. My opponent taking their 3rd prize card here, knocking out our Pidgeot. Don't really see a way that we can win this game, to be honest. I guess we could shuffle in a bunch of energy, go for a big powerful Squall on our Blastoise, and try and take at least 1 prize card. Why not? We pick up a War Turtle. It's a little bit too late for you, War Turtle, but sure, we'll put you into play anyways. And yeah, let's go ahead along with our Brock's Grit, shuffle in all of these water energies and try and hit all of the energy that we need with our Purple Squall. Let's see how many we can hit. Let's go. Okay, nice, that is nice. We get 4 energies off of the Purple Squall. That certainly was powerful. That's going to allow us to power up our Blastoise in 1 turn, and we even get an extra one for the benched War Turtle. We can attach an energy manually as well, and then hit into my opponent for the knockout, so we actually get to take a prize card this game. So we at least have that going for us. Sure, my opponent's going to win anyways, as they have a Lantern here, which is getting the energy from that Thunderous, and they do also have the Dragonite they can come up with if they want to. Looks like they are going for the Lantern though, as they can accelerate energy with the Dragonite, and then they can use the Lantern here to get the full effect of its attack, dealing 140 damage, which is going to be enough to finish off the Blastoise, because it did just have to damage itself, so that's going to allow them to get the knockout there. I think we'll go for a Copycat on this next turn and try and get our next Blastoise. If we can at least get that going, then we can take a whole other prize card on this game. If not, then my opponent has certainly got this in the bag, but they really had that in the bag from about turn 2 anyways. It was a closed game from the start, unfortunately. They are taking a long time to choose between the prize cards that they have remaining. I mean, it's only a 50-50 chance here, probably not even going to be a useful card to you, but sure, this is why you stick around. You never know when your opponent is just going to randomly concede the game or leave and be timed out of the game. So you always got to stick around. That's why we're still here. You never know when your opponent might just randomly concede, because it has happened before, and I have won tournaments because of it. So we're sticking around here. My opponent is still choosing a prize card. A real big decision here. Could they get a second Dragonite off of the prize cards, or is it going to be another lightning energy? Who knows? We certainly don't because we can't see their hand, but I know that we do have a copycat, so we can at least copy their hand. That's going to be something that we go for here. We're going to get a massive, it looks like about 10 cards. Let's see if we get the Blastoise off of a massive 10 cards, and we do. We get the Blastoise. We get a lot of water energy as well though, which is not great, as that's going to reduce our Powerful Squall, but we hit it anyways. We hit 4 energies once again. Not that we need them because we already have the energies that we need in play. So we'll just attach these onto our little Psyduck, why not? And we can also attach an additional one onto Pidgey. And we can not play anything else out because we've played everything. So we'll just attack my opponent, get another prize card for a massive 2 prize card game, which is huge, I know, very impressive, but my opponent is going to be closing out this game, assuming, of course, that they are still in the game and they haven't timed out or anything. All they have to do is promote the Dragonite. That is going to be their main victory condition here. They just promote Dragonite, attach an energy from their hand, and then they can use that ability in order to attach the other 2 energy and get the knockout on our Blastoise. Additionally, the Tornadus is doing 80 damage, so it is not quite enough to get a knockout here. We do have 90 HP, but my opponent does see that route in order to win the game, so they are going to be promoting the Dragonite. Doesn't look like they quite have the energy, as they are having to use an Airmail here in order to draw another card. Do still have 16 cards left in deck, so that is quite a big chunk of their deck still remaining. They have quite a few cards left to choose from, but they are now using the ability, and there is the last energy from their hand in order to deal 170 damage for the knockout and take the last prize card of the match. Very, very easy and convincing victory for my opponent, but that's alright because I enjoyed playing this deck. I've not played it for a while, and I always like going back and playing some of my favourite theme decks, especially trying to make them win in a theme deck tournament as well. Even though I know it's very unlikely that it's going to happen, it does get a little bit stale when you just play the same best theme decks over and over, so gotta mix it up now and then. And of course, having the discussion about Pokemon TCG Live is always a good thing, so let me know what you guys think of it. We did at least win a couple of packs here, so you know what, let's go into our cards here. We have our cards section, and we can have a little bit of a look at what we have here. We have a couple of common chests. Let's open a common chest for you guys, and maybe a couple of packs. Hopefully leave this video on a high. Why not? And whoa, that's crazy, we get a amazing ingredient card, which is actually pretty good card. Don't mind that card at all. Taking reverse holo, that is certainly not a good card, but let's open another chest, our last uncommon chest here. We get a reverse holo horror energy. That is pretty impressive. Now, do we go for the Evolving Skies or the 2 packs of Battle Styles? Let's go for a pack of Evolving Skies. Why not? I'm going to open these packs anyways because they are all locked packs, apart from like one of them there. So totally fine to open these, and okay, we get nothing. A whole load of nothing in that pack, which is very unfortunate. Going into the next pack, let's see what we get. Also nothing, but that is another Ampharos that I have. A million of those Ampharos already. Really do not need another one of those. Don't you just hate opening a lot of packs and getting the same rares over and over? Seems to always happen to me on the online game. There we go, we actually get a hit, and it is one that I don't already have. It is the Leafeon V. Very powerful and interesting grass type attacker, and the VMAX is pretty good as well, so very happy to pick that one up. Very happy to go into the collection and work towards building a Leafeon deck. And we get another terrible rare here in Seismitoad. I do like Seismitoad. Does typically have some good attacks and some good rares, but not this time, unfortunately. But let's get into another pack. We get another hit here. Awesome card in the Sylveon V. Do really love my evolutions, so great to pick up another Evolution V here. Getting 2 hits is pretty good out of a random selection of 5 or 6 packs. I'll certainly take those. And we get another hit back to back. This time it is the Glaceon VMAX, which I don't believe I have a lot of the regular Vs, but hey, this is the first VMAX of Glaceon that I've got, so I'll again take that into my collection and happily work towards building a deck out of those. This is why I don't mind opening these packs, because I usually do get something decent. Not that time, but 3 good cards out of, what, 5 or 6 packs? That is a pretty good rate, if you ask me, and a certainly good way to end the video rather than the terrible tournament outcome. There we go, we get another nice pull. It is unfortunately the Corviknight, which I already have a bunch of these, and I already have the deck built, but hey, Corviknight and Corviknight VMAX are still pretty cool cards to pick up, and I don't mind those whatsoever, as I can always trade off any of the spare ones. And oh man, the game is really being nice to me today, as we actually pick up a Stoutland V, which is a pretty awesome card. It is a double dip fangs, allows you to take additional prize cards with that attack, which we all know is very powerful from Arceus Dialga Palkia Tag Team, but my first one of those, so happy to pick that up and try and work that into a deck at some point. It does only deal 40 damage, but taking extra prize cards is always a nice option, so that's something that I'll have to look out for and try and make a deck around. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. Not the best tournament outcome or best play of the Blastoise deck, which is a little bit sad, but we did just open some awesome packs there with some pretty cool pulls and some nice EV Pokemon V. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Give the video a like if you did, and I'll see you in the next one.